The dew has not completely dried on the tips of the leaves. This morning, the sky is still gray, hanging the remaining cold of the night that is reluctant to leave. I stand on the edge of the rice field, which has been abandoned by the season. There is no more green rice that bends in the wind, only straw, dry, broken, crowded in a lonely silence. My steps are slow, feet penetrate the cold mud that quietly slips between the fingers, as if it is the only rhythm in the quiet morning. I am not working, nor daydreaming. I am hunting, not a wild animal, nor something majestic. I am hunting snails. Yes, snails. Soft, slimy, silent behind its fragile shell, but slippery like a memory that is difficult to grasp. I started to enter the rice field, and immediately followed the edge first. The edge of the rice field that was flooded with water. Clear, but held dark mud at the bottom. The water was still, not flowing, not foaming, only reflecting the sky that was not yet fully morning. My steps were slow, because every inch of mud seemed to be trying to hold me back from going too far. As if this rice field knew. I was carrying a will that was more than just hunting. Wet straw stuck to my feet, rolling up like tangled thread, sometimes piercing, sometimes welcoming. That's where the snails usually gather, hiding behind lumps of soil, or sticking quietly to dead rice roots. It was as if they knew that they were being sought. My hands began to explore, unhurriedly, touch after touch, sometimes just mud, sometimes rocks, and sometimes something chewy. I started to enter the rice field, and immediately followed the edge first. The edge of the rice field that was flooded with water. Clear, but held dark mud at the bottom. The water was still, not flowing, not foaming, only reflecting the sky that was not yet fully morning. My steps were slow, because every inch of mud seemed to be trying to hold me back from going too far. As if this rice field knew. I was carrying a will that was more than just hunting. Wet straw stuck to my feet, rolling up like tangled thread, sometimes piercing, sometimes welcoming. That's where the snails usually gather, hiding behind lumps of soil, or sticking quietly to dead rice roots. It was as if they knew that they were being hunted. My hands began to explore, unhurriedly, touch after touch, sometimes just mud, sometimes rocks, and sometimes something chewy. The first snail I found accidentally. Its shell was hard but slippery, cold, as if it had been stored for too long at night. I smiled a little, not because I was proud, but because the silence of this morning finally gave a sign. A snail. In the sack, its sound was barely audible, but I knew it was there. My steps continued along the edge, like tracing unfinished memories. The water got deeper in certain parts. The coldness rose to my calves, making me shiver, but I kept walking, alone, with the sack in hand, and the morning that continued to age, slowly, without a sound. In this rice field, everything felt more honest. Mud, water, snails, and me, with no one, with no sound other than nature watching. And I knew, this journey was not over. It's still long, still quiet. And I still enjoy this atmosphere, enjoying simple activities that I don't know since when have become an addiction for my mornings. My feet keep walking, traversing rice field plot after plot, to there, to here, leisurely, without rushing, like dancing on mud that sucks slowly but faithfully. My steps do not seek shortcuts, nor do I choose a clean path. In fact, in the deepest puddles, in the scattered straw bushes, that's where I often find them. Small snails, silent but there. The morning wind begins to move, caressing the ends of my hair, shaking the smell of mud and wet rice that is no longer alive. I stop for a moment, Take a deep breath, and let it fill my chest, as if this morning is the only one I have. Occasionally, my eyes gaze far into the horizon of the rice fields, to the fine line where the sky kisses the earth, the faint crowing of a rooster from a distance, and the sound of the wind that never wants to go. My left hand tightly grips the increasingly heavy sack, containing the small results of the silence that I have made my friend. My right hand remains active, digging, sweeping, touching. There is no disgust, because here, everything feels natural, everything feels honest. This rice field is not just a mud field. It is a silent space that holds everything that I cannot mention. A space where I can escape from burdens that cannot be written on paper. I walk through the rice fields like walking through my own mind. Sometimes straight, sometimes turning, sometimes falling into an invisible hole. But it's okay, because this is where I feel the most there. And the morning continues, but I don't want to finish yet. Don't want to go home yet. Still want to be friends with the mud, with the straw, with the silence, and with the small snails that are silent but loyal. The atmosphere and fresh air of the rice fields make me comfortable, makes my previously stiff body slowly soften, and my tangled thoughts begin to fall apart one by one, like dew that slowly disappears under the sunlight. The air this morning is still pure, not yet mixed with the roar of exhausts or street dust. Every breath feels deep, penetrating my chest, flowing into my veins, revitalizing parts of me that may have been asleep for a long time. A coolness that is not artificial, does not come from artificial cooling, but from the soil, from the water, from the sky, and from life that moves slowly, but surely. I stop for a moment, in the middle of the rows of plots that I have explored. I take another deep breath, and this time, I close my eyes. I have nothing to think about. No need, because this morning is too beautiful to be enjoyed. The mud on my feet had dried up a bit, but the coldness was still there. The snails in the sack moved slowly, making soft sounds, like whispers, like a small greeting from nature. I smiled to myself. Who would have thought, walking alone in the middle of the rice fields, hunting small creatures that are often considered pests, could actually bring a peace that I couldn't find anywhere else. The sky is now starting to change. The blue is starting to fill. The sun is starting to rise. And my shadow is getting clearer above the puddles. But I'm still here. Still want to explore the corners that I haven't touched. Still want to walk slowly, feel the gentle breeze, and listen to the sounds of nature, which never asks to be understood. Because morning in the rice fields isn't just time, but a space where I can breathe without reason. And as long as this air is still cool, and this rice field is still quiet, I will continue to walk. In silence, in gratitude, in feelings that don't need to be explained to anyone. A small bird passed low, and for a moment the world felt lighter. I squatted, sweeping the remaining straw with my left hand. Then I found another large snail, squirming slowly when I touched it. My eyes narrowed, not because of the sunlight, but because of a feeling I couldn't explain. There are things that don't require language. Just see, feel, and let it stay still with the mud. I stared into the deeper rice fields ahead. There were still many areas I hadn't explored. Still many. There were still many snails that were probably scattered there. And I didn't want to stop yet. Not because I was greedy, but because I was enjoying this. Not just looking, but becoming one with the silent rice fields, with the morning that began to speak through the light, with the mud that greeted me through the cold, and with those snails, which for some reason made me feel not alone. And this morning is still long. but my heart is already full enough. With mud, with wind, with silence that speaks more than words. The sun begins to rise. The shadows fade, but my footsteps remain, on the wet ground, and in a heart that slowly calms down. I don't bring much home. Only a small sack, a little mud on my feet, and a piece that can't be bought in the city. This morning is not special for anyone. But, for me, it is enough to heal. I stop at the end of the embankment. Looking back, the rice fields remain silent. But in that silence, I find myself.